There goes my baby. Hey, Miss Whitney. You don't have to stick in here if you don't have time. Because I'm recording this because, I don't know, that's what I'm led to do. So, I see you typing me a message on my other phone. What do you mean? Why am I looking like what? What do you mean? I'm in thought because I'm talking to my cards. I'm talking to my cards as I prepare. So, what I got led to do with your questions was to do it from two perspectives. Of course, you already know I got to run with my cards. So, what I'm going to ask for is for a, hell, we'll call him a gatekeeper. I'm asking for a gatekeeper who understands the line of questioning that you're asking. So that it is not as best as I can handle. This is not my perspective. I don't want my energy in this reading. I want this to be as authentic from the perspective of my aspects before you go any further. And I'm going to put the comments up here. You fucked me up with that one, Whitney. This is private, so this is not listed. This is just me and you. Don't do that to me, baby. For real. Okay, because for one, I have my spread is still sitting here from the one where, where I broke it down into the degrees of separation and the levels of connection. I still have that one sitting right in front of me. I have our personal grid sitting to the right of me. I have these questions sitting directly on me. I have my manifestation grid that we're working on as far as the collective sitting outside my window. It's raining. My baby just left me. It's a late night. It's early morning, all that good stuff. So, I mean, plus just things are always here. I don't know what you're seeing or what you're feeling. I don't feel like I'm under any kind of coercion or any kind of attack or anything like that. And I'm not saying that that's what you're seeing, but at the same time, I'm in control of this meat suit at this moment. This is Tony you talking to. Um, Admittedly, I am tired. I've been up all day, so I'm sending you a message right now. Admittedly, I'm tired, so I don't know what you're seeing, but I don't feel like I'm off or anything like that. I just put myself in a state of mind to where I don't push my perspective on this reading. So I don't know what you saw, but please share. Yeah, not trying to be funny, but it's not uncommon. It's not, and I don't have any control over that. I don't know how to begin to control that, but it's something I hear a lot, and it's something I know happens a lot, especially when I started doing soul retrieval. And see, you're not even in here, but you're gonna watch this eventually anyway. So I mean, I don't know how to control all the pieces coming back in at once. I don't know if I want to control it. Really, being honest. And I'm sorry if that ran you out of here, seeing me layered like that. So I'm gonna ask: is it safe to go ahead and proceed? Because I see you left out, and I don't. I'm gonna do the reading regardless, but I don't want to disturb you. And if you're not gonna be in here, I'll just go ahead and push my energy into this reading because I was hoping to get interaction out of you during the reading. I put it on live comments. Hmm. I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like okay. See, you're in here again. If you're if you're gonna stay in here, nope, can't do that. I'm gonna go ahead and God damn it. See, you left out again. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start with the reading because I see you keep coming in and out, and I don't know if that's just your signal or if something's distracting you or what. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with the reading. 10, wholeness. Okay, that's what I'm seeking. All right, so, like I was saying, what I'm going first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask for a gatekeeper from out of my deck to do the translations or basically the answering of your questions. But out of fairness, because I know my energy and I know these are my cards, I'm asking for the rabbit hole herself, the Alice in Wonderland, to come in and clarify the answer or the perspective that's going to be given by my cards. So it's going to be two cards per. One, the perspective based off of my deck, the higher perspective, and then the second one, a clarification card based off of the Alice in Wonderland, Tarot in Wonderland. But first and foremost, I need to get a guardian. I need to get one card who is going to be the voice for this reading. I'm submitting my energy as much as required to take my egoic ass out of it because I know how I roll. I don't want this to be about my perspective or my perception or my experiences. I'm honoring your reality and the fruits of the question. So somebody come forth. Shit. Olakun. Um, with this card, this is the death card. Okay, this is Olakun. Olakun is the keeper of all the ancient secrets. Everything that has been hidden, Olakun has access to. All the skulls that need to be dug up. All the things that need to be transmuted. So, Mafirafun Olakun. Olakun will rule this meeting, and I'll go question for question at that point. So, your first question was, if time doesn't exist, how can one track its progress? So I'll ask for a perspective from out of my deck first. If time doesn't exist, how can one track its progress? Okay, it's the 30. It's the overcome card. I'm gonna say what I'm feeling. I'm gonna say what I'm feeling because honestly, what I'm feeling is you have to overcome the perception of time. You can track its progress by understanding that it's a corrupted tool of progression in any event. You need to close your eyes to it. You need to stop seeing time in order to overcome time. It really is. motion. Motion is a trap. If you think in the sense of the 30, you're trying to get your three, you're trying to get triangulation. And this is something I've been experiencing for the past couple of weeks, so pretty solidly. I've been feeling like whereas most people buy the concepts of 111, that we are at 110. The illusion has the jig say is up, say so to speak. The jig is up. So you need to balance the mind and the body in order to free the soul. When you free the soul can return back into the spirit. The spirit can return back into higher consciousness. Once you get back up into that level of higher consciousness, the perception of time is no longer time. So it's my perspective based off of this card and what Olakun is allowing me to speak on is overcome by closing your eyes to the concept of time itself. It is a dimensional barrier. It's it. If you use that as a dimensional barrier, you become barred from all things outside of it. Now I'll pull from the Alice in Wonderland and I'll shuffle again and see if it has any clarification for that. I don't know why this deck feels so thick. I feel like it's more than 78 cards, but okay. Um, oh, Alice, if time doesn't exist, how can one track its progress? It's the Ace of Pentacles. Um, hmm. I get mixed feelings about this. There's two sides to the coin. There's two sides to the coin, okay? Because think about it with this card right here. If you look at the art on it, you got the coin itself, which basically has a pentagram, which we know the pentagram can be a containment field. It's a trapping device. It's how you banish it, so you can banish yourself to that pentagram, or you could have it in the sense of what looks like a cake. It could be something that you're going to eat, and the choice is yours. How do you? How can you track its progress? If it doesn't exist, the fact that it doesn't exist is situational. It exists if we tell ourselves it exists. If it's something that you want to eat, then it exists. If it's something that you want to banish yourself out of, you have the right. It's a perception. Even and see that's funky because even though this is an ace, there's still two. Even within the one, there's two. And I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. I kind of see what we're saying. It's time is the mirror itself. Whatever you holding up to that mirror, the reflection is what you're going to consume. If you consume the fact that you are separate from time, which is one of the things that I try in practice, even though I honor the fact that I'm still here, I try and honor my sense of timelessness. Then it allows you to start seeing outside of the barriers. But if you use time as a finite containment field, then you finally become contained. So you can measure it because it becomes a perception. And what you perceive, you draw limitations to. What you draw limitations to, you can measure. So you can measure the distances between your perceptions. But when you lose that level of necessity of perception, then there's nothing to measure. And I know that's an argument in itself right there, but that's what I'm getting out of that one. So that was the first question. The second question is, does time really exist outside of illusion? Wow, okay. And I probably should have read this because it's probably going to go deeper into what we just got to talk about. Does time really exist outside of illusion as a scientific breakdown of moving energy? And I think the answer is still yes, because the movable energy is all perceived energy. Motion is a perception. In the stillness of the universe, the energy itself is the only thing that's moving. We're energy. So we're moving because we tell ourselves we are. But when we decide to sit still, we're no longer moving. And I'll see what the cards have to say to that. I'm going to back out of that one. So, Olakun, does time really exist outside of illusion as a scientific breakdown of moving energy? Doesn't really give me that much out of this card, other than this is the world card. And I mean, with the energy of cry being that it's tied into the phoenix, hmm, that could go so many different ways. I don't need to focus on the word cry. I need to focus on the creatures themselves. If you lose, okay, um, does it exist outside of illusion? Yes, time does exist outside of illusion, according to this card here. There is time outside of illusion, because science is just not limited to this level of science. If you lose your sense of divinity, if you lose the ability to again transmute, because it's a phoenix energy, and phoenixes don't just necessarily transform; they transmute. So if you lose the sense of transmuting the element of time itself, then you still carry it into the realities outside of illusion, into the illusions outside of reality. It becomes a barrier in the mind, and wherever you go, you carry your barriers until you transmute them, if that makes sense. So wherever you go within this world, or whatever you go within these worlds, if you carry that concept of time, it's always there with you. So can it exist outside of the illusion? Yeah, because your illusion, again, what we just got to talk about before this, is your illusion is somebody else's reality and vice versa. And the rules are interchangeable in there. I kind of understand that. I do. Um, but again, Alice, for clarification of does time exist outside of illusion as a scientific breakdown of moving energy? It's the same. This is the devil card. It's the 15, and look what's on there. Time. It's time. I mean, and if you have the perception of time, think about it. The Mad Hatter, and the rabbit. The rabbit. They're late. They're late for a very important date. They're bound to time, and the Mad Hatter ain't got nothing but time on his hand. Time. It's the perception of time. If that's what you subscribe to, then that's what you get. As long as you feel like you are bound to that system, it's a binder. It's the devil. It is the thing, the knowledge of good and evil. Time is good and evil. You can have. I should know this from messing with Phatamicus, a servitor. I don't know if he's still a fucking servitor. His ass probably is an egregore by now. I don't even know what the hell he is. But I used to mess with a servitor called Phatamicus, and you could manipulate time. He was a counter to Chronos. I can't remember the motions, but the way that he worked out, and he got internet deified. Um, you would petition Phatamicus via the sigil and the signals, and if you want to speed up time, then you could say speed it up for say 15 minutes. But you'd have to take the converse of that 15 minutes that you sped up and give it to somebody else who needed to slow it down. In other words, he'd manipulate time for you, but he would do it under a balance. If he gives you 15, then he needs to take that 15 and take it away from somebody else. So then the basis of it would be to find somebody who wanted their day to go longer. If you wanted your day to go quicker, just find somebody who wanted to go, slower, and so you can find balance that way. So again, with this devil card, it's basically saying, yeah, it's the knowledge of good and evil. You can manipulate time to rule time, and hmm, Metatron, the cube, the time cube, Saturn, the timekeeper, Chronos, another name for Saturn. Everything is based on time. The perception that you have, mortality. Think about the card, the 31. The 31 card in my deck with the angel oak. The upright word is timelessness. But the converse of timelessness is being trapped into mortality and worry. When you give your energy to that level, that binding of time, the devil, then you become fixed under that energy, and it is no longer help. It is what harms you. So time does exist outside of the illusion because the illusion is situational. Again, it's illusion versus reality. And no matter what dimension or which level of existence you go to, your mindset stays with you as long as you honor consciousness. And so if you honor consciousness, then you can consciously create time. Boy, that's a lot of rambling. Okay, so moving on to the third question. Um, why does suffering occur to its entirety? Ah, why does suffering occur? Ain't about me. Ain't about me. And I got an issue with this. I really do. I really do have an issue with this, but I kind of understand it. What it is saying to me is that this is the Ogun card, the strength card. How did we get to two? If it's just me and you, how did it get to two? Hello, YouTube. I don't know how they did that, but I put it on unlisted and it jumped to two. So whatever. What I'm saying is though the question was, it threw me off. The question was, why does suffering occur to its entirety? And the achiever card, Ogun. Ogun is the remover of obstacles. And not only is it the strength card and Ogun, which tells you got to go through obstacles in order to achieve, it is so that you can obtain knowledge. But not only obtain knowledge, is so that you can obtain wisdom. Suffering is a condition of experience, and the only thing that is valid um, in this universe or in this expression of existence itself, not just this universe, in the multiverses and in the other little names that we don't even know, the other ways of existence that we're not even aware of. The only thing that is valid is experience, because experience is the measurement of change. And so, in experience being the measurement of change, there will be suffering. Every experiment cannot have a happy medium, or therefore you don't have a valid experience. It is not that it is hmm, it is not that it is warranted or dictated for there to be suffering. It is just a result. It is. That's all I hear. It is. It just is. I'm not going there. Why does a bird fly? It just does. It's its grand design. The grand design of experiment of experiencing is that there will be a winner and there will be a loser. Um, the experiment itself does not make a concession for neither one. It is what it is. It is up to the individual to learn how to become the achiever. You have to learn how to put your knee on the neck of the snake and limit the amount of suffering by gaining the wisdom of staying out of suffrage. Okay. Okay. All right. So, um, the Alice perspective of why does suffering occur to its entirety? More the same. It's an eight, bring an eight. It's the Eight of Pentacles. Um, think about this. With this Eight of Pentacles, look what he's doing. He's writing his own story. Even though he's drawing a symbol, his symbol is his experience. He's writing his own experience. You basically are writing your experiences by what you give your energy to. That's that eight. That's that abundance. That's also the infinity wheel of motion. So suffering again is basically saying the same thing. In going through the experiment of life, there is going to be winners and losers. Winners are going to be the gains. The losers will be the losses, and then loss is suffering. It's the story you write. You just have to learn to gain enough experience to know when to write the story and when you are writing the right story, whatever the fuck that means. I kind of can understand that. So again, it's adaptation to change. It's adaptation to change and knowing when you have to hmm, fuck. Hello, Olakun. Yeah, you knowing when to transmute, knowing when to transmute yourself out of experiences so that you stay out of suffering. Um, Slap in the face right then and there. Slap in the face. When you stay in situations long enough to where you know you've already acquired or sustained enough damage, prepare for suffering. And the universe will only tolerate suffering for so long, but it will tolerate suffering nonetheless. Okay, I'm not gonna ask that question. I already know the answer. I'm not gonna ask that question. The question I was gonna ask is no. I can't even ask it. I already know the answer. I can't even ask it. Okay. The next question was: is there a way to gain our experience in another state other than being in the flesh? And this is the one I had to pull myself out of. I had to pull myself out of this question when you asked it earlier. Is there a way to gain our experience in another state other than being in the flesh? The higher perspective on that question of is there a way to gain experience in another state other than being in the flesh? It's yeah, really it is. Again, with this being the Lilith and the Wheel of Fortune, and again a 10, it's wholeness. I mean, even looking at it from the lower perspective of the meat suit is only one part of the whole show. We're more than just this meat suit. We're the energy within the meat suit. So you don't have to be in this flesh to experience. Think about astral traveling. Think about DreamWorks. You can gain as much. I mean, not trying to be funny, but what they've been telling me since last year is that I do more work in my astral than I am in my physical, which is why my sleep cycle has got hijacked again. Is because they give me enough rest to keep me functioning because they need my energy in other realms. I'm back on teacher duty over there, and not trying to be funny, I get people to come to me all the time with thank you, thank you, thank you. You taught me this last night, or you pulled me out of this hole, or you did this and you did that. I don't do nothing but honor it. I mean, I got told when it first started happening that it was going to happen, and even before I started playing on the spirit board, I already knew it. And then when I got on the spirit board, if I get on it and I ask them what's going on, one of the first things it's gonna say is Astralworks or DreamWorks. That's where I'm doing my work at. But I'm not connected to the flesh when I'm doing that. I'm still experiencing and I'm still gaining experience and I'm still honoring my sense of mastery in my skills outside of this flesh. So there's many people who are stagnated in this flesh, but they kicking ass in the astral and the dreams, and even dimensionally if they know how to damn dimension walk. If they know how to distance themselves from this level of reality, they're probably doing work. So you can gain experience in other dimensions and realms, and that's why you get some people who come back. Um, hmm, they come back with certain levels of attachment. Not necessarily say a entity, but they come back with an experience. They come back with an experience that shows in this level of existence that they have no verification for because it took place somewhere else outside of this meat suit. So, according to the Lilith energy, which again, think about it, she exists in many forms. She exists under many names, but in many forms too. So, you can keep going on outside of this flesh. And I'll quit rambling on that, and I'll see what I can pull from out of Alice. Same question: is there a way to gain our experience in another state other than being in the flesh? The Hermit card in reverse. Think about the hermit. The hermit kind of puts his energy into recluse. The hermit pulls his energy in, and has already taken enough to he kind of like really don't even want to share that much. It's a 9 in reverse. When you get to that hermit energy and you stand on that mountaintop, or in some cases you hide in that cave because you feel like I don't want to share unless I'm seeing what I'm sharing. What you are not seeing, you still sharing, and there it is again. Just because you don't see it, don't mean that you're not getting it. The hermit only sees what's in front of them when they get into that embattled energy of looking outside of the cave because they're scared to see the whole 360 view. The other 270 degrees are still going through experience just because that 90 in front has chose to take the lower road. The lower road meaning flesh. So the other three aspects of your dimensionality are still gaining. And I hope that makes sense. So with the hermit, in this case, being on that horse and in the know, even when you are trying not to show or gain experience, you're going to gain experience. So yes is the way to do it from my perspective and from what the card is saying. All right. Whoa. I'm not playing with them tonight. The whole fucking phone jumped off the table. Okay, so The next question: do you think the soul even sits within the actual body? Part of me says it does not. So we'll ask the question: does the soul sit in the actual body? And before I even answer that question, personally, I agree with you. I think that's where you get into astral travel, though. That's why you have a cord. You have a cord because it's not permanently attached. It's a seat. You can sit in the body, kind of like you could put on a spacesuit. You can put it on, but that doesn't mean you are the spacesuit. It's just that's the attachment. But taking my perspective out of it, do you think the soul even sits within the actual body? I guess I just need to ask the question. From your perspective, Olakun, does the soul sit in the actual body? It's the sacrifice card, and to me, it's a yes and no, but it's a more no. It's a more of a no. It's a yes in the sense of this is the sacrifice you made to come into existence. Is that you agreed to become attached to the body. So therefore, you do sit within the body. You're just not bound to the body. Think about it from the sense of the hangman. A hangman hangs himself from a rope, from a cord. You are suspended and sacrificed to this level of dimensionality through that cord and that rope. That's what keeps you in this meat suit. But again, you do have the ability to travel outside of it. You just can't cut that cord if you plan on staying into this lower level of dimension. So it sits in, but not fixed within, is what it's saying to me. It's a sacrifice, and it takes discipline for the soul to stay down in here. It is an exertion of energy to exist in this dimension itself, which could constitute why some people are embattled within their own energy because it's taken a lot for them to hold on to here. Which, if you start thinking about, like, say, coma patients and shit like that, where they start losing that sense of wanting to be here, then they can go back and experience the there, even though they're still tethered to here, if that makes sense. So, going over to Alice, does the soul sit within the body? Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles in the way of six being a foundation and the Pentacles be grounding. It's your foundation for existence. Again, it's just another, from my perspective, it's another confirmation. With six being a foundation and Pentacles being the foundation and your grounding, it's your grounding rod for this meat suit is, um, think about what electrical outlet. You got power going in that wall. You have the potential for power flowing through the cord, but until you plug the cord into the wall, you don't get the connection. So until you put that meat suit, until you plug that soul into that meat suit, you don't turn the power on. So it's, again, it does not sit within, but it sits in it. It's not contained by it. It's just a containment field for it. I'm gonna disengage from that one. I'm starting to feel like I'm about to start into some British rambling, and I'm not feeling that tonight. They've been pretty well compliant since we had our little issue where it kind of caught you in the overwhelm when my altars was starting to take over. I'm not going back down that road. Fuck that. Not at a chance of losing you. Fuck that. I'm not. So, going back into this. What do you think would be the outcome of multiple realms coexisting together? I think that happens already. What do you think would be the outcome of multiple realms coexisting together but separate, yet with easy access into each other? Um, my perspective, before I even throw the cards, is that was part of the reason why we were why we are going through what we're going through, even though it is lessened by degrees, is because the multiples of realities, the multiple timelines, and not just the timelines, but the dimensions that contain those individual timelines got skewed and screwed up. Um, Outside interference, such as, say, ethereals and entities and deities and concepts and aliens, all that shit on higher levels that are master manipulators, um, human manipulation, time stagnation by too many thought forms, aka humans, too many thought forms subscribing to coercion. Um, Things like churn, with humans messing around with energy within energy. opening up the space of a universe within a universe, going against dimensionality rules and shit. You can't open a pocket dimension. Um, you can, but you should not open up an infinite amount of energy into a finite space. It creates a paradox. It creates an anomaly. Hello, we're anomalies, which is why we function a little bit better in conditions like that. So with them doing things like that, opening up dimensions within a dimension, then you cross realms into each other. You merge timelines. And that was the things that they've been making me, or not making me, but asking me to assist with, or been trying to enlighten me on for past couple of years, is timeline convergence. Henceforth, why I write timelines, or try to anyway. Um, with them being able to coexist, yes, and it's easy to jump in between. It's not. I can't take. I take that back. It's not easy to jump in between, but it is highly probable and possible to jump in between. And it is. What I heard was what I just heard in my head is it leaves a stain on each one. Somebody got a smart. I don't know if there's you Olakuna, no disrespect, but somebody said it leaves a shit stain on each one. So when you jump one part of your essence from one realm to the other, where there may be a piece of you already there, you leave a stain of yourself on the first one, even as you jump into the second one, and now you got two stains on one realm, and that again tips the scale of what's the proper word? I wanted to say it tips the scale of existence, but it's not necessarily tips the scale of existence. It tips the scale of existing. Existence is not the right word. It tips the scale of existing on that level. So the day to day of experiencing can be altered by having multiple realms converged into one. And I hope that answers your question. No, fuck that. That was my answer. That was what my experience is. Let's see what the card says. Oh, going again. Hmm. I don't know why y'all don't get along tonight, but y'all need to break that shit up. For real. Um, okay, that makes sense. There was a low key argument in my head between Ogun and Olakun. If that makes sense to you, it was like not necessarily a bitter argument, but there's a chance, there's a difference in perspective. Olakun is still standing over here, staying on his ground, saying transmute that shit. Take the experience from one and move to the other, so that you can complete the experience cycle more easily. Ties back into your question. If you got easy access, learn to master it so that you through the gatekeeper, so to speak, of the universe. The gatekeeper for the universe is the Ogun energy, which is it strengthens the separation field in between. If you can keep them separate and make it not so easy to travel between the two, or between the many, I should say. If you can keep the separation field strong and keep barriers and borders there, then it will stop experience from being experienced quickly. It will justify the need to exist. And that's really all this is anyway, is justification for the need to exist based off of the need to know, based off of the thought of having an idea of wanting to exist, if that makes sense to you. So that's the perspective of my deck. Is it's the basis for reality, the basis for this infinity is to keep them multiply attached, but not so easily traversed in between. There's supposed to be barriers and walls, but again, what I was ranting about how we've changed the parameters through cosmic wars of antiquity, common day human folly, human complacency, all that shit like that. We've opened up the convergence points to the point to where you can jump in between. It's just not safe if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And in jumping in between, you only adding to the energetic instability of what's already been created. So you can travel in between each, but you have to have um, the knack and the knowing. And I'll see if Alice has anything else to say on that because I'm understanding that, but I don't like where all the shit's going. So what do you think would be the outcome of multiple realms coexisting together but separate yet with easy access into each? And again, to go back into the other one, it's already been achieved. It's again just part of the experiment. You get more results if you tie more things together, but you have to keep barriers and borders. Same shit. Same shit. Six of Wands. The foundation, and again, the wands, the fire. Fire is the manipulation. If you can keep things under manipulation as you establish the borders, the foundation for them, then, I mean, look at this right. Look at the card right here. You pretty much got the the major characters are all present. I mean, you got the Mad Hatter, you got the Rabbit, you got the Queen, you got Alice, you got a Knight, and what Tweedledum, whoever the fuck that is. It is you can have multiple experiences at the same time. You can have multiple key players taking place at the same time. If you got, I'm just gonna say what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, and maybe it'll make sense to you. Is but what I just got shown was a movie theater. If you go into a movie theater that's got 20 movies showing at the same time, it's a more thorough experience than going into a movie theater that only has one. It can hold the same amount of capacity. It can hold 500 people. But if you only have one movie showing, there is only one experience showing. Okay. I just saw me move separate from myself. It doesn't unnerve me, but I like it. So, what I was saying was when you go into a movie theater that has 10, 20 different movies showing at once, it's a compilation of experiences all taken apart all taken apart. It's all taking place and being taken apart by the higher system of evaluation, I guess. It's all being evaluated for the maximum components of experience at the same time. It's an efficiency issue. It's a technological issue of how to farm experience out of existence itself. So they do coexist. There is multiple realms. There are multiple universes. There are multiple dimensions. There are multiplicity of anything that you can think of, and it's only for the efficiency of the original experience, the original experience itself. So it's only fair and it's only smart. And again, tying back into the Olicum card, the original, it's the best way to stay out of stagnation is to always stay in growth. And even if you're not going to transmute the experience, the universe don't care because you will only validate or give credence for more experience. And at the end of the day, until it gets into the point to where consciousness realizes that it does not need to be conscious, it will require experience. And I hope that made sense to you. A lot of it did to me, and a lot of it I don't even fucking give a fuck about right now, to be honest with you. I hope that didn't confuse you, baby.